MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
I'm Jonathan Amberian at the state capitol. A statewide working group of election officials and lawmakers is seeking to clear up questions that Montana voters may have about the state's election system. I'll give you more information about their report.
I'm Joe St. George at the Supreme Court. Should race be a question asked on a college admission application? It's a case the Supreme Court will hear in the coming days with implications for universities around the country. We preview it next.
Well, happy Thursday.
Is it already Thursday?
I almost forgot what date it is. Happy Thursday, Southwest Montana, 6:30. Jet Lehman, Matt Elwell with you here. Live guest joining us here in just a moment. Governor Greg Gianforte is out in the lobby. He'll be joining us in here. We're going to chat with him about things.
Stuff.
Things. That's it. That's it. No, we're going to talk about the upcoming legislative session and that. But meantime, a beautiful morning out there. I'm looking at some cooler temperatures, though, in some places.
I think that we're going to deal with some patchy frost. I didn't have any frost on my car. I was a little
neither.
surprised, to be quite honest.
Super happy about that.
It sped me up because I was running late. Temperature. Don't tell the boss. Temperatures into the low 30s early this morning for most of the area, 28. And what do they expect?
How are they going to verify, Matt?
Exactly. Looks like our skies are relatively clear. We do have some clouds rolling in. Daytime highs should top out into the mid-40s. That's a little below average, but a little above what we've been dealing with the last few days. So we'll talk more about the longer-term forecast. A little return of winter weather could be on the way, that long-term forecast in just a bit.
We started at 5 and you were here.
I was here.
Right on time.
The forecast was done. I was right.
Right on time. All right, 6:31, our top story this half hour. Tourism is big business here in Montana, no doubt about that, bringing millions of people and billions of dollars. PN's David J. has more on a Montana trade organization that's meeting in Billings this week to highlight the importance of what tourism means for the state.
According to the Montana Lodging and Hospitality Association, tourism has come back better in Montana than the rest of the country. And those promoting tourism in this area want to make sure the legislature allocates enough of the bed tax money to go toward marketing of Billings and the rest of eastern Montana. COVID-19 took its toll on the tourism industry, and while some states are still feeling the impacts, Montana has experienced some recovery, in part because of the proximity to the great outdoors at a time when cruise ships and amusement parks were shut down.
Montana was kind of their answer to that, to get out and explore and have fresh air. So we've benefited somewhat from that, but now it's really a matter of keeping that momentum and having the tools in place that can keep that growth happening.
But even here in Montana, it's a state divided. What's happening in the west isn't necessarily true in eastern Montana, and that was the case even prior to COVID. And that was the focus of some of the conversation Wednesday at a tourism conference in Billings.
The importance of tourism as a whole to the state, to Yellowstone County, to Billings. Our funding is very important. It helps us market and sell Billings as a tourism destination.
The group here discussed legislative priorities for the upcoming session and the need to focus more on the state's marketing efforts on communities like Billings. Dax Schieffer, Voices of Montana Tourism Director, says travelers spent an estimated $948 million in Gallatin County in 2018 and 2019, and $613 million in Flathead County, the state's most popular tourist communities. Yellowstone County trailed far behind with $312 million spent. Schieffer wants to let the state legislature know that marketing money from bed tax collections is still needed in eastern Montana.
These communities really could use some help when it comes to keeping a lot of their shops and their restaurants and their stores open. And when you do that, and you can subsidize that with visitors, it makes the community that much stronger.
Our businesses understand that tourism and that visitation is very important to their bottom line and to that commerce.
In Billings, David J., MTN News.
All right, 6:33. Earlier this year, lawmakers and election officials put together a working group to address questions about Montana's election system. Election day is less than 2 weeks away, and the group says it wants to assure voters that the state elections are secure. MTN senior political reporter Jonathan Amberian has more.
During a legislative interim committee meeting at the state capitol Wednesday, members of a statewide working group talked about their efforts to clear up questions about the state's election processes and about their suggestions for what can be done to support voter confidence.
Montana's election system is both sound and secure, and we must remain vigilant to keep it that way.
The group included local election administrators, the Montana Secretary of State's office and Commissioner of Political Practices, and lawmakers from both major parties. State Representative David Beatty, a Republican from Hamilton, said nationwide, groups on the right and the left have both contributed to a loss of trust in the election system by questioning election results.
This cannot stand. We cannot ignore it, and we must address this assault, I believe, on our fundamental representative democracy.
The working group went over election rules and law, looked at tabulating machines, and learned about the audit procedure. Beatty said they concluded the state's election officials are doing a good job and that machines remain secure. They put together an 18-page document answering commonly asked questions about how ballots are handled and counted. During the meeting, state and local election officials also shared information about how they check voter signatures on mail ballots. Typically, if an official questions whether the signature matches the one on file, a second one checks it. If they still can't confirm a match, the next step is to contact the voter directly to try to resolve the issue.
And where we see the signatures not be the same, the training is you reject it and verify it with the voter.
The working group's document, called Elections in Montana, is available online on the website votinginmontana.org. The site also includes links and contact information for election administrators across the state. In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. 6:36 now. What role should race play when you or a loved one applies to college? In the 1960s, college began asking about applicants' race, saying it would improve diversity. But in recent years, it has become controversial, with some arguing the question unfairly impacts students who aren't as diverse. Well, on Monday, the debate will be front and center at the Supreme Court, where justices could outlaw the practice of affirmative action going forward. Our Joe St. George takes a closer look at the debate.
College. Let's talk about it. If you or a loved one filled out an application recently, it probably looked like this. Name, check. Age, check. Race? In many states, that question is there too.
But should that race question be asked at all when it comes to college admissions? Justices here at the Supreme Court will soon decide.
We have asked the High Court to end the use of racial preferences in college admissions.
Meet Edward Bloom, a man who for the last 30 years has been trying to end race's influence on everything from elections to college admissions, a debate known as Affirmative Action. On Monday, he'll be back at the Supreme Court, and if he wins, private and state universities nationwide could be prohibited from asking about race.
We believe that a student's race and ethnicity should not be used to help them or to harm them.
Specifically, Bloom's case involves Harvard University and the University of North Carolina. At UNC, Bloom is alleging qualified white applicants are unfairly rejected because of their race. At Harvard, he alleges qualified Asian students are unfairly rejected. Both universities deny that.
Some people might say that if you win, you're going to take away some opportunities.
We're not going to take away any opportunities.
Many institutions disagree. All of these companies have written to justices saying that ending affirmative action could harm the economy, fearing a decline in equitable higher education.
It'll be incredibly problematic.
Natasha Wariku is a professor at Tufts University in Massachusetts. She says to best understand the impact, all you need to do is look at the 9 states that currently prohibit asking about race. The University of California and the University of Michigan actually wrote to the Supreme Court this summer saying they've struggled with diversity since they were banned from asking the question years ago.
There are year-to-year continuous declines on the number of Black, Hispanic, and Native American students.
Don't expect an opinion by the court for months. The fact justices agreed to hear the case suggests a landmark decision is on the horizon. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
All right, thanks, Joe. 6:38. We're going to take a break here on Montana This Morning.